We're in Nashville. This is day number 2 of the NWFA Wood Flooring Expo. I'm with Mike Chmielecki, the editor of Floor Covering Installer, FCI. How are you doing this morning, Mike?
Very good, Dave. How are you?
Are you charged about this show?
Yeah, everyone seems to be pretty happy about this show. There's a lot of energy, a lot of passion, and I just see a lot of excitement on the show floor today. I don't know exactly. I mean, there's really nothing I can pinpoint that is why that is. Maybe it's just the recession is kind of receding, or people are getting used to the new economy. I don't know, but people seem to be more positive.
And I guess, too, Nashville is sort of the middle of the country, and maybe it's easier for more people to get here. In fact, a lot of people drive. A lot of people that I've talked to drive, even though it would be a distance I wouldn't consider driving.
Yeah, it's definitely a more centrally located location than, somewhere just on the East Coast or the West Coast. So they did a good job at picking this venue.
Now, I haven't checked on the number of exhibitors, but it seems to me this show has more exhibitors than my memory, the last several times. Is that the way you recall it?
Yeah, I haven't seen any final numbers yet, but just looking at the exhibitor show list, you see a whole bunch of news like everywhere on every page. That's a good sign of growth. So, yeah, I'm seeing a lot.
So have you seen anything here that's just blown you sideways, new products, new ideas, etc.?
I think it's less about blowing me sideways and more just like sustainable, interesting technologies and just people who are really knowledgeable and experienced. It's not so much a bells and whistles type of show as like surfaces or coverings would be. It's much more simply, people who want to show you the best product that they have at that moment for the floor and for that job. And I think it's a much more low-key event, but still very knowledgeable, still very interesting. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun, but I wouldn't say there's anything that I would say is like page one material,
Well, I get the idea that people that probably won't go to another show, maybe go to surfaces, seem to be regulars here and really enjoy this show, and like any show, talking to their counterparts and their suppliers and so on, I guess, is one of the big draws. And that's the same for any show.
Absolutely, and I think, my perspective is, I go to a whole bunch of these shows. I go to Surfaces, I go to FCI, CA, so I've seen a lot of these products already, but for someone who's probably first coming here for the first time, maybe for this show, to them this is probably mind-blowing. To me, it's like, oh, I've seen this at Surfaces, I've seen this at FCI, CA, but the products are still very good, very technologically advanced, and the people are great.
Well, as we were talking before we turned the camera on, I think there's a lot of people that really don't pay that close attention to what's going on, the trades, the new products, and so on. So even though something may have been around for a year or so, a lot of these people perhaps haven't been introduced to it.
Very true. And also people who actually get involved in these types of organizations are a different breed than a lot of business owners out there who are just every day just, writing orders and hoping for the best, not really knowing what's going on.
How about the educational events at this show? What's your take on that?
Well, I think I've said it before, like my yardstick of whether a show is successful is if I've learned anything new, and I almost always do, and I already have here. The other day there was a nice presentation on radiant heating, which went through the R values of different floor coverings to tell whether it really is ready for a radiant system, or if you need to talk with the designer. Example given was there was this nice radiant heat under floor for a hardwood flooring, and it was great, but then the homeowner put a carpet and pad over it, like in the middle of the room, because it looked nice, but that completely overclocked the system and it ruined the floor. So
with all the stuff that you've seen, all of the seminars you've been to, you ought to be a halfway decent installer here,
Probably. I don't know. I haven't tried yet, but I'm sure the day is coming that I'll have to get on my hands and knees and trowel on some grout or some adhesive.
I would like to see that. So let me know. I'll bring the camera.
Absolutely. That'd be great.
This show, I think next year, Charlotte, and then the year after, Arizona. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep, that's what I've heard. Yep.
Well, I guess we have to call this a pretty big success, I would say. Would that be, just based on, and this is day 2 and it's early and a lot of people haven't even come here yet. Of course, the other part, this is Good Friday.
Yeah.
And a lot of people take off, go somewhere with the family or so on. So I think an unusual time to have a show, but it didn't seem to affect anything yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was kind of impressed by that. I mean, I'm sure they probably planned these things out years in advance, so they didn't realize that Easter and Passover and everything fell so close this year. But the fact that so many people are still here, and yesterday I was having trouble seeing people at the booths because they were so busy. They were just talking to customer after customer, and that's a sign of a really good show. And I believe, I'm not 100% certain, but I think when Michael Martin was speaking at the general session yesterday, he said something about this is probably their best turnout or their best attendance since 2006, I believe, and that's before the recession, really. So, I mean, that shows me that this is in a growth mode.
He's done a really good job here of bringing this back, it would seem to me.
Oh, definitely. When I went to Dallas last year, part of me was I was impressed, and part of me was like, how are they going to top this? And I would say that this seems like a smaller venue, obviously, than a Gaylord hotel, but I mean, just the number of people and the number of new people here, it's astounding to me that they're still able to find companies that, I mean, you'd think eventually they'd run out of companies to bring into the fold, but no, they just keep growing. So
They seem to come out of the woodwork, no pun intended. I've been in this business for an awfully long time. I can recall when I first entered this business some 30-odd years ago. In the carpet end of the business anyway, they would say the biggest problem in this industry is installation. I don't know that that's changed. I don't think it has. What's the situation with hard surface products and wood in particular? Is it any different?
well, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Also, no pun intended, really. That installation really is something that is extremely advanced, especially when you get into things like hardwood. There's a lot more you need to know than. I'm not saying that carpet and resilient aren't jobs that require a skill set. They definitely do. But if something happens with a carpet or resilient, you can pull it out and replace it. If you mess up with hardwood, if you have gapping, if you have cupping, crowning, any of that, you probably have to replace the whole floor. I mean, if you lay it out wrong and you get to a toe kick or something, and you don't know what you're doing, it's just going to be a disaster. So, and unfortunately, I mean, at this show, it's similar to what I was saying about the attendees. Obviously, the people who are here want to learn if they're part of this organization, but I think this is a very small percentage of the real people out there who are actually installing, and those people really, I think there's so many who don't know what they're doing, and the ones who want to learn, I think are rare, and they're the ones who end up joining this organization over time, and the rest are just kind of just throwing their hands up and hoping for the best.
They're the 5%, and the rest probably don't know there is an organization to help them learn.
Mm-hmm, exactly, yeah.
Let me just switch the subject here. I had an opportunity to interview Joe Yarborough, the new president of the CRI, came from Mohawk, and he mentioned to me that indeed the CRI has reversed itself on the S600 installation standard, meaning that they will not be a part of that going forward and will not endorse it. And this comes after, I don't know, 3.5 years, maybe more, of working on this. What's your take on that?
Well, not knowing all the details myself about the standard, I can't comment on the actual specifics, but just overall, I mean, installation is one of those things that everybody, there's standards out there for things, but everyone has their own opinion on the best way to do it. And I think also one of the, if I'm not incorrect, one of the ideas of this standard was to get mills behind it to try to make sure that, at the very least that they recommend for the warranty that installers that are professionally certified deal with their coverings. But, that might open liability issues for them too if they put in their warranty and something happens. So I don't know. I don't know the politics behind it. And I hope something does get worked out because we do need those types of standards. But I think it's an uphill battle. I mean, sometimes what installers want, and what manufacturers want, what retailers want, what distributors want, they're all at crossroads, and you have to try to work together to figure it out.
Well, I think one of the amazing parts of this whole standard was, like I said, 3.5 years ago, whatever the period was, a lot of these people probably had never been in the same room with their counterparts from other parts of the industry, probably didn't want to be. And the fact that they were able to sit down and produce this document, that's an amazing feat in and of itself, working together to do that. But the bottom line seemed to me to be, if the manufacturing community didn't in some way attach certification, certified installers to their warranty, this wasn't a document that meant a whole lot. And that seems to be the case at this point, whatever the reason was.
Yeah, I know. I don't really understand the reasoning behind it. Not being a manufacturer myself, I mean, they probably ran it by their legal department, and it just got the red flag. But I think where manufacturers try to help out with the industry is they donate products to things like CTEF training, CFI training, all the different training organizations. They donate their instructors as volunteers to these things, and I think that's where they want to help out, because installation, if it's done poorly, that's a claim, and they want to reduce those. But supporting the industry and helping installers kind of in a background role, and then having it in writing for a consumer to see, I think is what's kind of making people sit on their hands and kind of worry a little bit. I don't know. That's my guess.
Well, I think in the beginning, if my memory serves correctly, the manufacturing community, the CRI, was the organization that started this whole thing. The WFCA joined in later. So, I mean, they obviously saw the need, and there was obviously some things in this standard as written that they weren't that pleased with.
Yeah, I don't know what the process is, if they would try to just start a brand new standard, or are they just going to let it die on the vine? I really don't know. Hopefully they'll get something out. I don't know.
What I'm hearing is they're trying to work something out. Now, whether that's going to happen or not, that remains to be seen. Anyway, just to wind up, this show, the NWFA Wood Flooring Expo 2014, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this show?
I'd say between an 8 and a 9. The only reason I wouldn't say a 10 is because, for someone who maybe is used to the more splashy, kind of Vegas-y type of thing, you don't get that here. But like I said at the beginning, you get very knowledgeable, down-to-earth people. And, on my side, for floor covering installer, this is way up there. For something like Floor Trends, who, more the dealer contractor, it's a good show, but they probably go to so many shows. But, anytime you can come to these types of shows, get educated, meet the people behind the products, I think it's always worthwhile. So for me, it's an 8 or a 9.
Always good talking with you, Mike.
You too.
We've been talking with Mike Chmielecki. He is the editor of Floor Covering Installer. We're in Nashville at the NWFA Wood Flooring Expo. This is Talk Floor TV.